got a double dose of great news for you Vikings fans on this Tuesday morning, as Christian McCaffrey might miss the Week 2 matchup versus our Minnesota Vikings. And then also big fella in the interior of the defensive line, Harrison Phillips. He got extended. So what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. Before we dive into all of this, Week 2, just around the corner. And if you guys want your Minnesota Vikings to catch a victory, just give me a SKOL down below in the comments section. I want it to look like US Bank Stadium, 11:59 before kickoff. Give me a SKOL down below in the comments section to help our Vikes get a victory this Sunday. But the big-time news around the San Francisco 49ers, which directly impacts the Minnesota Vikings, Christian McCaffrey. Hopefully you guys did not have him on your fantasy teams last night, as right before the game, he was ruled out for the season opener versus the New York Jets. And then Jordan Mason stepped in and had a big-time game. But McCaffrey, a couple weeks ago, he said he was going to be ready to go for Week 1. And then after, I guess, re-aggravating that Achilles calf injury, he was not able to play versus the New York Jets. And then Adam Schefter hinted at the idea that he may not be able to go versus the Vikings by saying this: not only is Christian McCaffrey out tonight, but there's a real chance he's not going to play on Sunday either. They play on the road at Minnesota, on turf, in a shorter week, so he's inactive tonight, and it looks like there's a strong possibility McCaffrey will not play Sunday against the Vikings as well. And this was a shocker to me, because I was fully anticipating getting a 100% healthy 49ers team with Trent Williams, Ayuk, Debo, McCaffrey, Kittle, the whole Avengers that the Niners have offensively. So this was definitely a shocker. And then I was wondering, who's going to step in? Who's going to be the lead back for the Niners? Well, it was this guy, Jordan Mason, who had himself a career night against the New York Jets. Funny enough, this was actually the most carries in a single game he had since high school. Even when he was at Georgia Tech, he didn't eclipse more than 25 carries. But he was a UDFA from 2022, ran for over 147 yards, had a touchdown. He was truly that workhorse back for Kyle Shanahan's offense, and he ran for 5.3 yards per carry, which was fantastic. But I do want to get this out there. The 49ers are a completely different team without Christian McCaffrey in the lineup. I know it looked like last night that they could just plug and play any type of running back into that offense and they could get, be successful. But since McCaffrey joined the Niners a couple years ago in that blockbuster trade, in the games he has been ruled out, the Niners are just 4-4. So I think this is obviously great news for the Vikings that one of the star players from that offense couldn't miss Week 2. But one of our star players, Jordan Addison, he could also miss Week 2. Kevin O'Connell talked to media yesterday, and he necessarily hinted at the fact that Addison will be ruled out, as he did leave Week 1 versus the New York Giants with the ankle injury, the same ankle he injured in the joint practices versus the Cleveland Browns. But O'Connell yesterday, talking to media, gave us an insight on how he's doing. He said still hopeful Jordan will have a chance this week, dealing with some pretty significant soreness. He responded in the past pretty quickly with a similar injury. And that is true, because originally when Jordan Addison was carted off the field in the Cleveland Browns practice, I thought there was no chance he was going to play Week 1 versus the Giants, but he healed up quickly. He was able to go out there for the first half and have 3 receptions for 35 yards. But the Vikings are going to be missing 2 of their key weapons this Sunday versus the Niners. And, if this offense was fully intact, all of the weapons were playing, I would feel a lot more confident heading into this football game. But you still don't have Hawk, and if you don't have Jordan Addison, you're going to be looking at other players to step up. And, my man, Jalen Speedy Naylor, he had the touchdown reception versus the New York Giants on that little fake bubble screen where he just went up the right sideline and found the end zone. But you also got to think about it. Tristan Jackson, he had 3 touchdowns in the preseason, finally emerged as a real NFL wide receiver, so I'm assuming he's going to get a lot of run. Still got Brandon Powell. He's going to be working out of the slot as well. But no doubt, Jalen Naylor is going to need to step up. And now I do want to show you guys the next 9 games for the Minnesota Vikings. So obviously you caught that big-time Week 1 victory against the New York Giants, where I was calling that a must-win game, mainly because of the next 6 games. You go Niners, Texans, Packers, where Jordan Love is reported. He will play in that game. That might be his first game back. But then you also got the Jets in London, the Lions off the bye, the Rams on a short week on Thursday Night Football all the way in Los Angeles, and then you finish up the AFC South in weeks 8, 9, and 10. This is a brutal schedule, and this is a big reason why people are still doubting the Vikings. And I understand. You don't want to overreact to a week 1 victory against a football team who was probably going to be picking top 5 in the NFL draft this upcoming season. But it was the process for me. I'm always, looking at the process over the results because fluky things can happen. Luck plays happen all the time in the NFL. But I thought the Vikings process versus the New York Giants, how they were getting, just play in, play out. It just looked like a very smooth system. And people are still doubting the Vikes. Well, with their schedule being brutal over the next couple of weeks, you got a chance to really cement yourselves as hopefully a true dark horse playoff contender if you can steal a couple victories there. But hey, injuries are already affecting this Vikings team. If you guys want the Minnesota Vikings to stay healthy the entire rest of the season, hit that thumbs up icon. Don't jinx us. Get some good injury luck, heading our way as Vikings fans, and hit that thumbs up icon. Now, coming up next, we are going to be deep diving into the Harrison Phillips contract extension. Super pumped up for him. He did receive a 2-year extension, so I'll get you guys the contract details on that here in a second. But first off, I do want to give a massive shout out to today's sponsor, and that is Game Time, the #1 ticket purchasing app out there right now. And if you guys download the Game Time app and use promo code CHATSPORTS, you guys will get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Now, Game Time actually has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Now, my favorite feature of the Game Time app by far is the views from your seat feature, where you can literally see what you will be looking at in the stadium before you buy a ticket to whatever event it may be. And hey, with the San Francisco 49ers coming to town this weekend, if you guys want to get $20 off your first purchase, Game Time is the best way to do so. But make sure before you make your first purchase on Game Time, plug in that promo code ChatSports. We'll give you guys $20 off. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets this upcoming football season with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. I'll put that link for you guys in the comment section and description of today's show. Shout out to Game Time for sponsoring today's edition of Vikings Now. So Tom Pelissero had the contract extension details where he tweeted this out early on this morning. The Vikings are signing veteran defensive tackle Harrison Phillips to a 2-year contract extension worth up to $19 million with over $13 million in guaranteed money. He also mentioned a 2023 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award nominee. Phillips is now locked in with Minnesota through 2026, and I'm fired up about this. I think Harrison Phillips deserves every cent of this contract extension. Obviously, he is not the great interior defensive lineman like we see, with Dexter Lawrence, who we just saw this past weekend of the New York Giants, but he is still a phenomenal, interior defensive lineman. He had a sack, PBU, TFL this past week versus New York. I thought he played his ass off, and, I really do believe he deserves every cent of this. With how thin the Vikings defensive line group is right now, you really couldn't afford losing Harrison Phillips in free agency next year. I just think it would have put the Vikings behind the 8 ball, where then they maybe would have had to go be super aggressive in the draft or free agency and overpay or, overdraft a player just to fit a position of need. But, start looking at this room, like, you look at the 3 defensive linemen behind them, all the young guys, and you got 2 UDFAs in that group. Levi Drake Rodriguez, Taki Taimani, Jalen Redmond. Like, I'm a big fan of those 3. Hopefully they can develop, in the next couple of years of their NFL careers. But I thought Jerry Tillery had a hell of a game versus the New York Giants as well. Bullard obviously struggled, especially according to PFF. But, overall, I think that Vikings defensive line group is a lot better than I thought it was going to be heading into the year. And a big reason why the Vikings were able to shut down the Giants' offense is you didn't allow them to run the football. 21 attempts for New York, only went for 74 yards, which comes out to 3.5 yards per carry, and they only ran for 5 first downs. Now, I will say this, San Francisco 49ers, they're a totally different beast. I don't care if it's Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason, or me running the football for this Niners offense. They will be able to be successful on the ground. Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion, has the best rushing offense in the entire National Football League by far. It's a great scheme. It just allows, easy holes for the running backs to hit, and they just got to take advantage. So if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, if I'm Brian Flores, I'm making Brock Purdy beat you. I am doing whatever you can to slow down this Niners run game. And yes, it's going to stink to see Debo, George Kittle, Ayuk, all these weapons they have getting the football. But if they're able to run the ball, it sets up play action. It just makes life on Brock Purdy a whole lot easier. So you sell out on first and second downs, get them the third and long. Obviously, a lot easier said than done, but that's how I would play it. But if you guys remember last year, the Vikings ended up beating the San Francisco 49ers in Minnesota on Monday Night Football, and that was without Justin Jefferson. But the Niners were also missing two key players. In my opinion, Trent Williams is probably the third best player in football behind Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. But they also missed Deebo Samuel last year as well. So both these guys will be in the lineup. You're going to have Trent Williams. It's going to make, life a whole lot harder for guys like Dallas Turner, Jonathan Grenard to get home to Brock Purdy. And obviously Deebo is such a weapon, with the football in his hands. And overall, if McCaffrey, if he does play, I think the Niners, when you look at this graphic of just taking one offensive lineman, their running back, two wide receivers, and a tight end, this is possibly the best five in NFL history. You have an all-time great left tackle. You have the best running back in the league. You got two top 15 receivers. You got a top 2 tight end. I mean, they really have the Avengers on offense. And this would be a great test for the Vikings defense. We saw the defense be very, very successful against Daniel Jones and the New York Giants offense. But again, that's probably going to be one of the worst offenses in the entire NFL this upcoming season. But with Brock Purdy, with the Niners and their weapons, and Kyle Shanahan calling the plays, Brian Flores, that defense and all those players, they're going to have to be on their A game. The Vikings want to celebrate another victory Monday. But if you guys want the Vikes to shock the world this upcoming Sunday, right now the bookmakers out west have it as a 5-point spread in favor of the San Francisco 49ers, which, I actually kind of agree with. Some people think that's a little too low, but I think that's just about right. But hey, if you guys want the Vikes to beat the Niners, give me a skull down below. If you guys want to give me a follow on Twitter as well, I will follow you guys right back. But thank you guys so much for watching today's show. As always, Skol Vikes.